Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I was at Walmart the other day looking at their dollar spot section, which is similar to Target's where their items are all around $1, $3, and $5, but they had a huge selection of 4th of July products and there were so many fun Cricut blank opportunities. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I bought and how I used my Cricut to personalize these. They had really fun things for a great price. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Here's all of my sacks from Walmart. I went a little bit crazy because they just had the cutest stuff. I'm starting out with this plastic ice bucket. I thought this would be perfect to add some vinyl on the front to it to give it a little bit more of a festive look. If you're having people over for the 4th, it would look so cute to decorate this and put ice and drinks inside. This bucket was $5. I'm in Cricut Design Space and I'll click on upload, then I'll just find my SVG. I'm going to be using this USA one. I measured my bucket and I decided about 2 inches for the height will be good. So I'm just gonna come up here and I am gonna type in 2 inches. I also need to go into my layers panel. Everything is grouped together. I am going to ungroup it. I want to attach all the blue together and all the red colors together. So I'll just come in here and do that really quickly. I'm just hitting shift on my keyboard when I go into the layers panel. I'll hit attach. I'm just going to move this in a little bit. You can see that both of these colors are attached. When I click on the make it screen, it's going to separate it both on different mats. My material size has been automatically going to 12 by 24 for some reason. I am going to switch it back to 12 by 12. It's going to cut the red out first. I am going to be using the washi tape setting just because this is pretty tiny. I always find that cuts it out a lot better. Here's the 2 vinyl sheets that I'm using. One is Oracal 651 and the other is Starcraft. I recommend either one. They're both really great quality and they're both permanent vinyl. I'm going to add the red vinyl first. Also, this is a brand new mat. I just feel like there's nothing better than that when it's nice and clean. I like the Cricut mats, but I also like the Nakapa mats. The Cricut ones were on a crazy good deal the other day though, so I just bought tons of them on Amazon. The Cricut cut out the red design and now it's cutting out the blue. Now I'm ready to weed out my design. I'm using my pen tool here. I highly recommend a pen tool. It just works so great. The washi tape setting was a really good call because this was pretty tricky to weed. It's really small and there was just some little detailed cuts. I did lose one of the tiny stars when I was weeding, so I decided just to get rid of the other star. For my next sheet of vinyl, I decided to do reverse weeding. This is super cool. You put your transfer tape over your whole entire design before you even weed it out. You scrape it down really well on the front and back with your scraper. Then what you do is you remove the backing of the vinyl. So you have your entire vinyl onto your transfer tape, and then you just weed out that excess vinyl directly off of the transfer tape. Since the transfer tape is so sticky, those tiny pieces just stick down to it really well. You're able to weed out the rest of it. It's kind of crazy how it works. I'll show you in another example. I do it again in this video on thin fireworks and you can really see how cool it is. Instead of layering both vinyl sheets directly onto the bucket, I like to layer them together first. It's so much easier. I like to use the parchment paper method. I use that as a barrier where you can line up the vinyl exactly where you want it. Once it's lined up, I press that transfer tape down on the side. It just kind of sticks it in place. Then I remove the parchment paper and I'm able to line that blue vinyl up right on top of the red. I scrape it down well so both vinyl sheets can stick down onto that transfer tape. Then I just remove the backing. I'm able to line this up on my bucket. Sorry, it's definitely blurry here, but I'm lining it up and I was kind of struggling to see it. I was like looking through my camera and I had it just a little bit too low, not right in the center, but that's okay. I think it still looks really cute. Here, I'm just removing the transfer tape. Here's how this turned out. Super simple, besides the weeding was a little tricky, but other than that, you can use scrap vinyl and just make this plain bucket look really cute, especially if you are having people over for the 4th. For my next project, I'm going to use these charcuterie boards that I found. These were $5 each. Even though it had a design on one side, I thought I could easily just turn it around and make it my own on the other side. I decided for these to cut a stencil out with my Cricut and paint them. I'm going to use these as decor in my kitchen. If anybody knows if there is like a sealant that you can put over the paint to make it food safe, let us know in the comments. Also, you could always add vinyl to these, but that makes it not food safe as well. I have two Cricut Design Space images here that I'm going to be using for my project. For the fireworks, I don't want these at the bottom, so I'm actually going to contour those out. It looks like these are all grouped together, so I need to click ungroup. It is 3 different layers, so I'll select on the first layer, I'll hit contour. I am just going to select these two to get rid of them. Come down to my second layer and I'll do the same thing. Now I just have my red layer left, so I'll hit contour and get those out of there as well. I also want to turn this the other direction. I need to highlight over the whole thing since they're 3 different layers. I want them all to turn together, and I am just going to rotate it. So when I go to paint these, I'm going to make it very similar to both of these designs. I am going to copy this where I do the red the same, the blue, and I'm going to do white. Over here, I'm going to do red, white, and blue, and then of July, I'm going to make it red. But since this is a stencil, I am going to make all of these the same color. So over on this one, it's all grouped together, but I need to attach it and I want it to all be the same color. So I'll come down here, I'll select attach. For this one, I'm going to highlight over all the layers. I'll come down here and select attach as well. I'm also just going to make these the same color. It doesn't matter what color these are in here. It doesn't matter what color vinyl I'm cutting it out on. That's because this is just used as a stencil. For my sizing, I already have my guides pulled up. I'm just going to unhide them. These are the size of my serving boards. I'm going to bring this down and I am just going to make this fit inside of here to help me figure out my sizing. And I'll do the same thing for this one. Okay, that looks good. I'll hit make it. I need to switch this to 12 by 12 again. It's going to pull it onto 2 different mats. I also like to bring this out just a little bit. When I'm doing a stencil, I like to have a little bit extra space just to give me room when I'm painting. And I'll do the same thing for this. For my cut setting for these, I'm going to use vinyl. For my vinyl, I'm just using Oracal 651. You don't have to buy specific stencil vinyl. I can see sometimes when that could come in handy, but for projects like these, you just need regular vinyl for your stencil. My machine cut out the first design. Now I'm adding my second vinyl sheet. It's going to cut that out. I'm also trimming some of the vinyl on the other sheet. You're making a stencil with the Cricut, you are going to weed out the actual design itself, so you're doing the opposite of what you would normally do. One time when I was making a stencil, I had this huge project and I weeded it out the way that you would typically do it, so I had to completely start over, wasted a whole bunch of vinyl. It was awful. Obviously, I zoomed all of this up here, but weeding this out was so much easier than the last sheet that I just did because the size was a lot bigger, so that was nice. Now that I have everything weeded, I am going to add transfer tape to my entire design. I should have done the bigger one first because I could have reused the transfer tape, but I didn't really think about that. I used my squeegee to scrape the whole thing down, then I removed the backing. My camera was really struggling to focus this time, but once that's removed, then I'm ready to line this up over the board, and then once it's lined up, I press it down. Sometimes vinyl struggles to stick to wood. A good hack for that is to put polyacrylic on the wood before you add the vinyl. Vinyl sticks so great to that, but I didn't have any polyacrylic, so I decided just to go with this. Once the vinyl was down, I decided to just press the vinyl down as well as I could. I also decided just to add Mod Podge over my stencil. This kind of helps with the paint lines, but this also will help with the vinyl sticking to the wood. I grab a foam brush and paint that Mod Podge on. While that's drying, I follow the same process for the other stencil. I add my transfer tape, then I place it on the board. I had an even harder time removing the transfer tape with this one, sadly, so I would recommend maybe the polyacrylic if you are struggling or it just takes a lot of patience. It helps to put your squeegee right up against that transfer tape. Another great hack. I am just full of those today, apparently. I add Mod Podge to this one, then I'm ready to paint. I'm using apple barrel paint from Walmart. It is by far my favorite. It's inexpensive and I just really love it. I didn't have the typical kind of 4th of July blue color, so I'm using this lighter blue and I actually end up loving it for this. I'm also using makeup sponges to paint these on. It's the best, and I do like a dabbing motion when I'm doing a stencil. That just helps prevent any paint from bleeding through that stencil. I'm definitely doing it the lazy way too. I'm just pouring the paint directly on the sponge and then adding it to the stencil, but it works great. It has been so long since I've done a stencil project. I forgot how much I absolutely love this. To me, it's like calming. It's so fun. I love stencil projects. I actually used to get so stressed doing these because they just would not turn out, but somehow I just kind of got the hang of it and I just really enjoy it. Are you guys crafting for the 4th of July or for summer? I'm really curious. I just feel like crafting kind of slows down in the summer. Everybody's out busy doing things and outside. I just feel like the fall and winter is the busy crafting months, but definitely let me know if you've been doing any crafting. Once I was done, the red just applied really well, but the blue was so light colored that I needed to go in and do a second coat. I also went in and did a second coat for the white. Now I'm ready to remove the vinyl, which is my favorite part, seeing how it turned out. I don't make sure it dries all the way. I actually have the paint just a tiny bit wet when I remove it. I find that to be the best way to do it. Then I take my pen tool and weed out the rest of the stencil. As I was looking at this, it was giving me the popsicle firecrackers that we used to have as kids. The colors just matched with it perfectly, and it was even in the same order. Once that was done, I removed the stencil from the other board. Here's another look at how these turned out. Look how cute they are. I love them. I'm going to put them in my kitchen against my backsplash. Let me know what you guys think. Also, as you're watching the video, let me know which products you would pick up if you saw it at the store. For my next project, I actually found these parade totes, and how fun are these? I've never seen them before. It's only $1. We're actually going to a parade over the 4th of July weekend, so my kids can bring these to put candy inside of. I'm back in Cricut Design Space, and the font that I'm using is called Black Sample. I honestly have no idea where I got this font. It might have been from Creative Fabrica, but it's really pretty. I'll put a link for all of my fonts and SVGs in the description box if you're looking for any of these, but I just made these about 4 inches for the width and 2 inches for the height. And actually Josh is 2.9 inches for the width. What I like to do is make the font size the same. So all 3 of these, the font size is 87, and it just makes it look a little bit more uniform. I'm just cutting these all out on the same color vinyl, and I'm going to use the vinyl setting. I believe I'm using StarCraft vinyl. I get that from 143 vinyl. It definitely is my favorite. It just weeds so well. But here I'm just having the Cricut cut it out. I'm weeding it out. Then I'm just going to use transfer tape to apply all of these to the tote bag. This is just another fantastic project if you have scrap vinyl laying around. It's really fun to personalize these, especially my kids when they have their candy. They don't want their siblings eating it and things like that, so it's really fun. Here's how these turned out. For my next project, I found a bike basket. How fun is that? It was only $3. Obviously, I spotted the perfect blank, that circle on the front, to add something with my Cricut. I'm in Cricut Design Space, and here's the design that I'm using. I have all the blue pieces attached and I have all the red pieces attached. I also made a guide. This is the size of the circle on the bike basket. It's 4.25 inches wide. I like to use that guide just to figure out my size for my design. The size for my design is 3.9 inches, almost 4 inches for the width. The Cricut will cut out the blue design first, then the red. What's also really fun about this is my neighborhood is doing a block party at the end of June, and we're doing a 4th of July theme. We're also having the kids do a parade with their bikes and scooters and decorating it with 4th of July themed things. So this is just perfect for that. I think Walmart also had red, white, and blue streamers for bikes. I'll definitely have to go back and see if they still have those. This one was another tricky one to weed. The red was okay. The tiny stars were a little bit difficult, but the blue had the thinnest lines for the fireworks. So like I said earlier, I did the reverse weeding for that. It just worked so well. I wish I showed it a little bit closer up on camera, but maybe you can kind of see how tiny those little lines were, and they were just sticking onto that transfer tape. It's pretty amazing. I did have to add one little piece that I missed, but overall that was really good. I follow the same process for this. I use the parchment paper method to layer both of these vinyl colors. Then I apply the vinyl to the bike basket. After I applied it, there was a few tiny little bumps in the vinyl, which is totally fine because it's just going on my kid's bike basket. That's just because it wasn't a totally flat surface. Here's how this turned out. I think it looks so adorable. It's going to be super festive for the 4th of July. My daughter already has a pink bike basket, and she just collects so many things to put in it, like sticks, leaves, and things like that. They're really fun. Next, I found these pet bandanas. They look really easy to use. It just slides into your pet's collar. I don't think it would bother them too much, and I think it will look so cute for the 4th of July. They were only $1 each, and it just has the perfect spot to personalize my 2 dogs' names. I'm using heat transfer vinyl for this project. The names are going to be red. I'm using this Tech Wrap metallic pearlescent HTV. It's really pretty. I am going to add stars with that. I'm using the same font, Black Sample. I just loved it, so I decided to keep going with that font. These stars are just under the images in Cricut Design Space. My Easy Press Mini is going to be perfect for this, so that's what I'm using. I set it to the medium heat. I just preheat both of those. I'm going to press the name first, then the stars. I'm basically just guessing on the time with my Easy Press. Online, it usually says about 25 seconds. I did about 10 to 15 seconds, then checked it, and it adhered really well. Then I add the stars. I did about 10 seconds kind of on each side for those. This pearlescent vinyl, sometimes it can look a little bit wrinkly if it gets too hot. So yeah, I just did it for about 10 seconds and it was perfect. Then I just do the same thing for the other one. Here's how these turned out. For my next project, I found these napkins. I thought they were so cute. What I'm going to do is add heat transfer vinyl to these. Obviously, that would make it not food safe, but you can set it up as decoration, and I think it would look so adorable. I'm using my Easy Press Mini again and set it to the low setting. I'm using the same pearlescent HTV for this. The blue just matched the blue stars on the napkin so well. I found this design in Creative Fabrica. It was really easy in Design Space because it's all the same color. I just set it to 3 inches for the width. I placed my vinyl on the napkin. I put it towards the bottom so it didn't look as busy since there was less stars. I just run my Easy Press Mini over it. I decided not to use a Teflon sheet because it's only going over that carrier sheet anyways, and it kind of helps me keep an eye on the vinyl. Once again, I did this for about 10 seconds. Then I went to remove the carrier sheet. It adhered so well. Then I just do the same thing for the other two. Here's how these turn out. The Tech Wrap Craft Vinyl, it's so pretty when you turn it. It just looks different with how the light hits it. I love how unique it is. Next, I found these rope baskets. They were blue and red, and they were $5 each. I knew I wanted to do something with it, so I just bought it. When I got home, I decided that I would add little tags to these. I'm in Cricut Design Space and I am going to be using Print and Cut for this project. What I'm going to do is go over to my shapes and grab something that looks like a tag. I'm going to use this one and I'm going to switch it to white. I'm going to turn this to the side. I'm also going to grab a circle and I am going to put this right around here so that I can have it cut out a hole to put some string through. I think that looks pretty good. I'll highlight over both of these. I'll come down to slice and then I'm just going to delete those. Now I just want to size it. I'm going to try 3 inches for the width. I think that looks great. Now I'm just going to bring my design over here. I am just going to make my design fit right inside of here. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm going to highlight over both of these, and this step is really important. Since I'm doing print and cut, I need to come down and select flatten. I'll click on make it. I want to make 2 of these. The easiest way to do this is just hit 2 for project copies, then I'll hit apply. I'll hit continue, send to printer. I'm going to turn my bleed off and turn on my system dialog. I'm also going to switch my media and quality to best. Then I'll hit print. I just print this off of my inkjet printer. For my cut setting, I'm going to select medium cardstock. The cardstock I'm using is the Recollections brand from Michaels. If you watch my channel a lot, you probably know that that's the only one I really use because it's just so good. It cuts out really well on the Cricut machine. If you've never done print and cut before, I feel like it's a really great beginner Cricut project. These look so adorable. I found some ribbon at Hobby Lobby the other day. I'm going to use that to tie these to the baskets. Some ideas for these, if you're having people over for like the 4th, you can put like hot dog buns and hamburger buns in there and make it look cute in your kitchen. Or if you're having kids come over, I found these bubbles at the Target Bullseye section. You can put little bubbles or goodies in there. So really fun, lots of different things you can use for it. And you can use these when the 4th is over too. On to my last project. I thought this was so adorable. It's a little mini tiered tray, but I struggled to figure out what to do with this. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know, but I knew I wanted to add some vinyl to the front of it. I'm using this Tech Wrap Craft colorful pearl adhesive vinyl. It's really pretty and glittery. I decided to add stars to the front of these. Going along with the food theme, you could set this up in your kitchen. You can put little packets of like ketchup or mustard or mayo in it. I even thought maybe you could put like forks and silverware in it, but I was kind of struggling, so I haven't decided what I'm going to use this for yet. Here I'm just adding the stars. I wish that I made them a little bit smaller because I think it would look a little cuter, but I just found these stars in Cricut Design Space in the shapes section. This was such a simple thing to add to it. Like I keep saying, you can use your scrap vinyl for it. It really does give it fun 4th of July vibes. I also found this vase. I thought it was so pretty for just $5, but thankfully I went to take the tag off and it ripped some of the paint off. I wanted to add some vinyl to the front of it and that transfer tape would just totally rip it off, so I decided just to leave it as it is. I found these white flowers and flags at Hobby Lobby. I think it just looks really cute. Here's another look at all of these projects. I really enjoyed making these. I found some really fun stuff. Let me know which one's your favorite. Also, are you going to pick any of these up? I would love to hear. Once again, if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed. It's completely free. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so whenever I post a video, you will get notified.